Hello, this is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. I think you can see it's embossed. It's got some vellum on here. Some little gold pearls. So let's get started. I'm going to be using some scrap of Very Vanilla and a scrap of vellum. I have a piece of Very Vanilla, which is 4 by 5 1/4, another layer which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, a card base which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. I'm going to be using the Arrange a Wreath bundle on both the stamp set and the die, which is Wreath Builder dies. Mostly the dies, but I am using the Merry Christmas out of the Arrange a Wreath. Out of this die, I've cut out of vellum this wreath, and then I've snipped it into pieces so that I've got a bunch of little pieces of branches. I'm going to use some of those. Out of this die, I've cut 3, and then this die here, which is not from that set. I can't remember what I got it out of. I've cut 2 of those. I'll have to look this one up. I can't remember what that is. And then I have 1 gold bow. I'm going to be using gold embossing powder, early espresso ink, versamark ink, and these little gold dots, metallic pearls, and the gold ribbon from Boho Indigo. Okay, so let's get started. Let's place this aside. I've already done the die cutting just because it makes it a little bit faster, so you don't have hour-long videos. On the smaller piece, the 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece, I am going to bring in an embossing buddy just because I am going to emboss and I don't want it sticking everywhere I don't want it. Versamark ink, and I forgot to bring out one of the stamps because I am using the wreath. I'm using that one. It's quite a large one, so you might want to use your stamparatus, but I'm just going to bring out a block. Is it going to fit on there? Nope. Alright, so we're going to ink this with Versamark. Make sure you get a good inking. We're going to stamp it in the top up here. There's no right or wrong here, just wherever you want it. Make sure you get a very good impression. Okay, bring in our embossing powder. Give it a little flick on the back. If there's any strays, brush them off with your brush or your fingers, because they will show. A little bit more here. Okay. Put this away so I don't make a huge mess. Alright, then I'm going to bring in my board for embossing on. I'm going to put my gun on the second setting. I'm going to heat emboss this. There it goes. You see it? Keep moving as you go. As it melts, move to another area so you don't burn it. Okay, now we're going to bring in the sentiment and early espresso ink. I'm going to stamp that in the center down here. Perfect. Alright, now we can bring in our pieces. Let's first mount this one to the front of our card. There's just going to be like a 1/16 of an inch. Really doesn't have much of a border. It's 1/8 of an inch smaller than the front of the card. Okay, place that aside. Now we're going to bring in these pieces. The poinsettias. We're going to take our bone folder. We're going to curl the edges like that between our fingers and the bone folder. And then we're just going to push them up. Excuse me. Okay, now I've got these little flowers, so I'm going to take 2 of the big ones and 1 of the small ones. Get a little glue, put them on the back of the small flowers. Come on, I just opened you. There you go. I'm going to stick that in the center of these flowers. Just want to turn it so that you don't see any of the holes. So do that for all of those. There we go. One more. So even the small one covers up those holes. Okay. Now we're going to put a dimensional on the back of each one of those. Alright. Move this aside, bring in this piece. Now these are going to go down here, so we're just going to set them. We're gonna tuck them in like that. I'm going to bring in a couple of these little pieces. And I think I'll use glue dots for these. I'll stick a glue dot on the bottom of them. I want one to stick out this way, so stick it underneath this before we glue it down. I need a smaller one. To come down this way. Like that. Now I can stick this flower down. I want one to go this way. Up here. Whoops, stuck itself before I was ready. Up here. Come on. Cooperate with me. Thank you. Let's take one more. Stick it over here. Like that. Okay, then we can stick that flower down. And we can stick this flower down. Now we've got these other little flowers. We're going to scatter them around. I'm going to put one down here. Put this other big one up here. Too much glue. Small ones up there by this big one, like a cluster of 3. One down here. Well, let's put it over here. Alright. We can add our bow down here to the bottom. And we're going to add our little gold pearls. Bring in take your pick tool. I'm going to put one in the middle of each one of these flowers. I'm going to put one up here. A couple down here. There we go. Now we'll add that to the front of the card. So let's do this. Line up 3 sides. Again, there's just going to be a 1/16 of an inch border. And set it down. Come on, move just a little bit for me. Okay. And this is a little bit warpy, so I think I'm going to do a trick that I was shown. I can't remember. Put a little bit of glue, wet glue, on here. Tuck it in next to the edge of this. Go under the edge. This is not my trick, but it works really well. Can't remember who I was watching that showed it. Helps to get those edges down. Especially since it's warpy from being embossed. Just gets enough glue under there. A little bit more. This works so well. And you don't have that extra glue oozing out. Just get enough to stick it down. There we go. And there's the card we just made together. There's the one I did previously. And thank you for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper. Have a great day.